In the top stories, police struggling with shortage of equipment and personnel. Union officials say too many employers are failing to negotiate, and a new water zoning policy is in the works. Welcome to the Barbados Day edition of Nation News for Thursday, January 21st, 2016. I'm Natasha Beckles. Acting Deputy Commissioner of Police Oral Williams says the Royal Barbados Police Force is facing a shortage of both manpower and equipment, and he is urging station sergeants and managers to hold strain. Speaking at the end of a symposium on crime at the Regional Police Training Center, Mr. Williams said the force had budgetary constraints in light of government's limited finances.
So I'm asking that you bear with us in the absence of a sufficient number of accoutrement, including batons, holsters, reflective vests, body armor, sprays, shields, and other items of clothing, to the extent that every member does not have a personal issue. We are working towards that goal and hope to reach there in a few years. The administration is also working on upgrading the physical plan occupied by our officers.
Mr. Williams also said the force was struggling to find suitable applicants.
Yes, we received hundreds of applications from prospective applicants for employment with the organization. However, by way of the vetting process, quite a few do not make the grade. We have not as yet adopted the approach of before none, any. We have standards, and we do not at this stage intend to lower them by sacrificing quality for quantity. The administration is cognizant of the shortage and the impact it has been having on your ability to deliver quality service within a reasonable time. In the short run, you can deal with this by the better management of existing resources, including ensuring more of your officers are trained to deal with the multiplicity of tasks required to be done at your station or your unit.
Two trade union officials are concerned about what they say is a growing practice of employers refusing to negotiate with unions. General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, said while some employers follow proper industrial relations practices, others have not been willing to meet at the bargaining table. Speaking during the union's Barbados Day activities at the Labour College in Mangrove, Ms. Moore said partnership and cooperation seem to be waning as some employers return to old negative behaviours. A day earlier, head of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, Cedric Murrell, urged government and the private sector to show greater respect for the consultative process this year. He said the failure to consult was a worrying trend which had forced the unions to place disputes in the public domain. The laws governing the management of Barbados water resources could soon be updated. Water Resources Minister Dr. David Estwick says a new water zoning policy and associated legislation are with the Chief Parliamentary Council for drafting. He was speaking at the official launch of the St. Philip Water Augmentation Project on Wednesday.
This new policy seeks to allow for Barbados to manage and protect its water resources in different ways, given that we now have a different set of contamination threats. And as opposed to this, the new water zoning policy seeks to establish exclusion zones within which no development will occur, and outside of the exclusion zones, development with certain conditionalities.
5 people were injured in an accident along Tudor Bridge St. Michael on Thursday afternoon. According to eyewitness reports, a route taxi and a motorcycle collided. As the motorcyclist tried to regain control, he reportedly hit 3 pedestrians before being thrown from his cycle. A bicyclist was also injured at the same time. 1 ambulance and a number of police officers responded to the accident. A Cave Hill St. Lucie family lost their home to fire on Wednesday. Residents tried to assist as flames tore through the timber house, but there was no running water in the area. Nadette Smith, who occupied the rented house with her husband and 3 children, said all the contents of the house went up in smoke. She told Nation News the officers said the house burned unnaturally fast and would have to be investigated by forensics personnel. Alison Hines was the center of attention in Brooklyn, New York on Wednesday night, but she wasn't performing one of her soca hits. Instead, she sang an a cappella rendition of the United States national anthem at the start of an NBA match between the Brooklyn Nets and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ms. Hines told Nation News she was nervous, but the performance was well received. It came about through a collaboration between Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. and the Brooklyn Nets. Minister of Finance Chris Sinkler has refuted claims that government is splurging on the 50th anniversary of independence celebrations. He told Nation News the critics don't know how much government is spending. Concerns were raised over the spectacle created at the launch of the celebrations earlier this month, with many saying government's priorities were misplaced. Mr. Sinkler said while this milestone deserves to be celebrated, it is being done in a financially conscious manner. And finally, a man has been charged with fraud after Utah officials say he got himself into almost 24 car accidents to collect insurance money. Authorities say Naveed Monjad-Zeb collected over $55,000 from insurance carriers over 5 years. He faces 12 counts of insurance fraud in cases where investigators could show the car was damaged before the crash. Mr. Monjad-Zeb was also charged with pattern of unlawful activity, 2 counts of forgery, and 7 counts of reckless endangerment. And that's Nation News for Errol Barrow Day. For more news, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Remember to pick up your Weekend Nation on Friday or subscribe to our e-paper. Thank you so much for joining us.